Well, as a closing act, I will try to say something slightly different. We're going to talk about platforms. So, the agenda goes like this. We're going to highlight some current trends in platforms within specific contexts. We're going to raise some hypotheses. We're going to see how the commons reflects on these hypotheses. And we're going to reach some conclusions. Actually, it's one conclusion. And if we get along, we're going to have, as a bonus track, this presentation of the Your Data Storage platform that I'm currently involved. So, in order to understand the mechanics of the platforms today, it's very essential to understand the evolution of the web. So, from the passive viewing, we turn to the read-write model with emphasis on the online collaboration and distribution. And finally, we arrived at the Web3 era, where the emphasis is on the human and machine-facilitated understanding and exploitation of information. So, there is this theory that goes like this, and it introduces a specific techno-economic paradigm that is behind every social or economical advancement in each particular period. This techno-economic paradigm follows more or less this curve, which goes through specific fragmentations and leads to structural, let's say, implications in terms of economy collaboration and economy production and distribution models and consumption models as well, and also societal changes. So, apparently the web is the techno-economic paradigm of our times. So, given the turbulent times that we are all experiencing at the moment, I guess we all agree that we are at the dot is at the turning point of the curve, which means that at this point we have a very harsh, in a way, confrontation of different value systems, different value models that compete for dominance. So we do have the old school proprietary knowledge value system, which is definitely dominant, which is definitely still dominant, however is in decline. We have also the well-known autarchical sharing economy networks, which have this feudal-like approach, and we do make an assumption regarding the hypothetical mature pre-production development system. So, going deeper to this analysis, we can codify the sharing economy under these four basic categories. So we're talking about the access economy, where the main the value is not in the ownership, but it's in the access. We have the gig economy. We have collaborative economy, which is based on peer-to-peer approach. And finally, we have the commons, which is actually a collectively designed and owned system of collaboration and production. So, what do all these platforms do is that they express some very straightforward philosophical embodiments in relation to what a person is, to where the meaning comes from, the nature of freedom, and the nature of an ideal society. So, what's definitely in common with all this platform system is that they have this, they mix in a way the online and the offline world in order to create this, this so-called new concept of the on-life, which at this on-life system, what happens is that we have a constant transformation of the social activity into quantified data. Yes. So, who owns this data? This is a fundamental question that has a very straightforward answer. The autarchical platforms do own the data because they assume that we have given our supposedly informed consent for our data to exchange of some kind of free digital services that we are that we want so desperately. The good news here is that there are some. The good news here is that the dot in the curve of the TEP theory is moving forward, and it's going to the deployment period. So alternative models of consumptions are coming at play. The one I chose is the Cozy Cloud model, which actually allows the users to have their data resided on their own personal servers. There is also the MECO model, which actually makes the data users intermediaries of their own data in order to accumulate them and exchange them for things that they value. So, our hypothesis goes like this. And our hypothesis is based on research and evidence and not faith or ideology or something like that. So these are the basic findings of our hypothesis. I go a little bit slower. So what we're coming to at the moment is what's the role of the commons and how the commons reflect on this hypothesis. So far the main conception was that the commons need to scale. Creative Commons, what they wanted to do wanted just to increase the the volume of the Creative Commons works. However, this is not realistic, and this leads to a dead end. So, luckily enough, last year it was the Creative Commons strategy issued that introduced some new things about, some new initiatives about the Creative Commons. So it started looking at how it's going to become more relevant. So, the key points of this strategy are discovery, collaboration, and advocacy, and all this has to do with sharing. But what is sharing after all? Sharing is a concept, a dualistic concept, because it's not. It's something that has to do with a set of altruism and individualism. It's something, it needs to serve both altruism and individualism in order to create a new self-sustainable marketplace. So who is at the center of this marketplace? The Google guys would say it would be the algorithm. It makes sense. The singularity proponents would say it would be the machines. That makes sense also. With here, I think we claim that the center is the human mind, body, and soul, because every data reflects is people in disguise, actually. So what makes us humans special? Are we special, and what does this human exceptionalism imply? Dignity contains this human exceptionalism, which is grounded on these basic philosophical grounds. Sharing is justified in the postmodern philosophy. So again, dignity has is twofold, because it's not about human superiority towards nature. It's about a complex set of duties and rights, and because dignity is, according to the current TEP, we're talking about the digital dignity, where as a source of rights we have the right to manage our data, to own our data, to access content, share, reuse, mash up, generate value, own our identity, and at the end live. But it also is a source of duties, because we need to care, to respect, to contribute in the commons, to attribute the contributors, to share alike, to reward, and to assume biological realism. This is a concept that I would be really interested to share with you, but I have no time at the moment. So, the Your Data Story is an open data-driven project, EU-funded, which finds his ground statement, its mission statement on the findings that I described earlier. Our mission here is to make data more accessible for everyone and to help people discover and tell their own data stories. It actually aims at creating a social data marketplace where the concepts of digital dignity will come at play in full speed and full action. So these are the main thing. There is also some social dimension to the open data. The one thing that I really want to stay and reflect on is the main objectives that really reflect on the concept of digital dignity are this: trust, consensus, satisfaction, and go deeper in the analysis, I would stay to the openness versus efficiency and effectiveness, because openness, it's not a means to an end by itself. Openness is a tool. So we need to find the balance, to strike the balance among openness and effectiveness. And finally, your data stories aims to create a platform of digital dignity. Thank you.